What's going on YouTube? This is Jabber Tech, and today I'm going to give you my thoughts on using the Galaxy Note 9. You might be interested in purchasing a new phone, or you might just be interested in what this phone is like. Now this is the US Unlocked U1 edition, and I have been using it on the T-Mobile network. So let's get into this review, and I'm going to let you know what I think about the Galaxy Note 9. Let me just talk about the specs really quickly for those of you that don't know. It's running the Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 processor. This US edition has 6 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabytes. There is an 8 gigabyte 512 variant available, but that really depends on where you are. I have the 128 variant here. It also has this beautiful 6.4 inch Super AMOLED panel that has about 516 ppi for those of you that want to know and keep track of those PPIs. It also has IP68 water and dust resistance, Gorilla Glass 5, and then on the back of the phone is where you'll find your two shooters. They're both 12 megapixels. One is a standard shooter and the other one is your telephoto lens. And then on the front, you do have an 8 megapixel front shooter. On the bottom is where you'll find all your ports. So it does have USB-C. You have this beloved headphone jack. You have the S Pen here is what makes a Note a Note. And then finally, it has a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. If you want to know more specifications, I'll leave the link down below. But for most people, that's really what we need to know. Before we get into the review, I'm going to tell you that this review is based on my personal experiences using this phone. This is my experiences and I want to share them with you. I feel that I'm the average user. I think most of us will use the phone in the way that I'm using it. Of course, some people are more hardcore with their phones and other people are not. So this is based on my personal experiences only and nobody else's. That being said, I want to say that I feel this is the best Android phone on the market right now. In terms of everything, Samsung has always been known for giving everything but the kitchen sink, and this is no exception. Now, I did have the S9 Plus before, so you might be in the comments ready to type, "Hey Jabber, I have the S9 Plus. Should I upgrade to the Note 9? And a lot of people might tell you no, but I'm going to tell you yes, and I'm only going to tell you yes if you can sell that S9 Plus for a decent amount and only put in a couple hundred for the Note 9. Then I think it's totally worth it. But if you sell your S9 Plus for pennies and have to shell out more than like $400 for the upgrade, then it's not worth it. But I know the screen size isn't that much bigger, guys. You're going from a 6.2 on the S9 Plus to a 6.4 here on the Note 9. But trust me when I tell you that extra screen real estate is awesome when you're playing games or when you're watching movies or even just when you're surfing the web. Running two apps on a larger screen definitely is a lot more enjoyable. So I would say if you can get a decent amount of money, sell it and buy this one. Now, if you're coming from the Note 8 and you want to jump to the Note 9, I would say it's not worth it. Just wait another generation just because you're not going to get that much in terms of trade-in value. But again, guys, this is all subjective. If you feel that you just can't not have the Note 9 and you must have it now, it is your money. Do with it what you please. But I would just say, if you're coming from an older device where you're not going to get that much for trade-in, wait for the next generation. I think we're going to have a huge bump in the Note 10 or whatever they call it, as well as the S10. But anyway, continuing on with the Note 9, my experience has been really good. So a lot of you want to know right off the bat, how's battery life? And for me, coming from the S9 Plus, even though this does have a larger battery, I do not see much of a difference with my usage personally. And again, usage really depends on how strong your signal is, what's running in the background, etc., etc. But for me, I'm happy to say that I can get through an entire day with this Note 9. I barely make it through to the second day, but that's with my usage. Most of the time, I'll get through my entire day, leave it off the charger at night, but by the time I wake up, I'm already down to like 20%, 30%. So that's really not enough to get me through most of that day as well. So really, guys, I would say you do have to charge this every night. That's just been my experience with it. I wish it was a little bit better. I wish I could tell you a little bit more about the battery life in terms of it being better, but that's my experiences. I'm getting about, I would say 5 to 6 hours, maybe 7 on a good day. But for the most part, I'm getting about 5 to 6 hours of screen on time. But the good thing is, and this is no excuse, guys, it does have the quick charge capabilities on the bottom. Not to mention you have fast wireless charging on the back as well. So if you do need to charge up in a pinch, you can always run into your local Starbucks or anywhere else. A lot of cafes and restaurants are having wireless charging pads around. So that makes it super simple just to charge it up. Not to mention, I have charging pads everywhere in my home and in my office, so it really just makes it super simple if you need to top up. Speaking of topping up, if you do plug in the quick charge USB-C cable with the appropriate adapter, if If you plug it in for about 30 minutes, you'll get about 60% battery life. And again, that just depends where you start. So that's just a rough estimate. And if you plug it in for about 15 minutes, you're definitely going to get enough to make it through whatever you have to make it through. Wireless charging on the back is a little bit slower, of course, but if you do charge it up, it'll take about an hour and a half to an hour 45. So that's really not that bad at all. But again, having quick charge capabilities on a phone is not an excuse for a poor battery. Making it through the entire day is a feat, and I'm really happy about that. I have no complaints about this battery. Could it be better? It could be a little better. Maybe with some software updates it will get better. But for now, I'm happy that it makes me through the entire day, and that's with moderate to heavy usage. Next, I want to talk about the other most important thing when you have a phone, and that's the cameras here on the back. So you do have a telephoto and you do have a standard lens. Now, I really wish this was a wide angle. I use the wide angle lens on my LG phone the most just because I take a lot of landscaping shots. I'm not super into portrait modes and I don't really zoom in all that much either. So for me, I don't really use the telephoto lens, but it is really enjoyable, and I'll show you some shots here. It is fun to change up the blur effects on the back after you take a shot. That's just something super cool. And these cameras really do an excellent job in all lighting. Now, is it the best camera on the market? That goes to the Pixel phones, we all know that, but you will not be disappointed with this. It's a really great, capable shooter in all lighting conditions. Now, I'm mostly an auto type of shooter. I do not mess around with the pro modes, but there is a pro mode if you want to, if you know how to do that. But I'm more of the point and shoot type of guy, and I think most of us just tend to leave it in auto and shoot and hope for the best. But I'm happy to report that I do get 9 out of 10 times I get a really great shot with this. And I do want to mention it does have this feature where if it kind of guesses that you've blinked or someone's blinked or it's blurry, that actually does work, guys. Many occasions I've taken a shot and I get that little notification that, hey, your photo might be blurry. I go and take a look at it, and sure enough, someone's blinked or it is blurry. It does a really good job of letting you know that you might have a bad shot, and I thank Samsung for that. That's an excellent, excellent feature to have. The front-facing camera is decent. I'm not a super selfie monster, so I can't really comment whether it's great or not, and I don't really do vlogging from the front camera. But the selfies I've taken have come out really nicely. Definitely a lot better than my LG phone, so the front-facing camera does a good job as well. Next, I want to talk about two things found on the bottom of the phone here. You have this headphone jack. And although I do not use a headphone jack on a daily basis, I do use it at least twice a week for one reason or another, whether my Bluetooth headphones ran out of juice or whether I just want to have a wire to get a better audio experience. So thankfully this is still here, and I know the day will come when I have to buy a phone without a headphone jack, but that day's not here. So for right now, I'd say this is a great option to have, and I'm really happy it's there. But most people will buy this Note phone for this S Pen, and the S Pen has been a really great feature. Now, I'm not the type of person either that writes on documents every single day, that has to jot down notes every single day, sign documents, sign papers, blah, blah, blah. This has come in handy more times than not. I did have a time where I had to sign a document, and I wasn't going to be home for a couple days, so I didn't even have to print it, rescan it, and send it over. I just signed the document here on the phone and sent it over. Nobody really knew that I signed it on my phone. Another great thing about this S Pen is if you like sharing information, if you're always sending people screenshots and whatnot, it's just super easy to take your S Pen here, go on Smart Select, select something that you want to share, and then automatically Samsung will give you that option on the bottom here. So you can just share whatever it is, and you can do the same if you have an animated GIF or you have a video on your screen. You can just click this animation GIF icon right here and then select it and go ahead and share it. And being able to just write on the screen as well has been something that I've found super enjoyable. So it'll automatically take a screenshot, and then you can circle, and then you can dabble and do whatever you need to do. And then from here, you can go ahead and just share it as well or save it. So the S Pen, believe it or not, guys, has really come in handy for even people that don't need it for really productivity, but you just want to use it for fun. Now, there is a little bit of a gimmick. You see that button there on the S Pen? That's your Bluetooth actionable button. So this can actually take that selfie shot for you. You can open the phone with it if you use this with Smart Connect, or you can also use it to do a bunch of other options here, play, pause music, but this is really just a Bluetooth actionable button. Now, I've never used it personally, believe it or not. I have not used this once as an actionable button, but it is nice to know it's there, and this does recharge in the silo here. It only takes about a minute to fully recharge, but if it does drain, you can still use the S Pen as normal. Next, I just want to cover basic connectivity. So you do have a micro SD card slot in here, and as you can see, I do have a card in here as well as a 128, and it just makes it super simple. I don't like when companies nickel and dime you to get that extra bit of storage. Having the ability to pop in a cheap micro SD card slot is great. And then as I mentioned, guys, I am using this on the T-Mobile network, and the unlocked edition has been excellent. You get Wi-Fi calling, there is VoLTE. Connectivity has been really strong. Phone calls have been excellent. Nobody really complained about phone calls. And then what I do want to mention as well, if you are interested in getting the unlocked versus a carrier edition, and I'm going to speak for the T-Mobile edition, you will only lose two things. You'll lose the RCS abilities. So basically that means if you are sending a text message to another T-Mobile user, you can get those read receipts and the typing indicators. You lose that on this one. And then the other thing that you lose is the advanced voice over LTE that T-Mobile offers. This offers the standard voice over LTE protocols, and that sounds just great. The T-Mobile one adds a little bit extra improvement, but it's nothing that you can hear and tell the difference of. And if you do want to get RCS, don't worry, it is coming soon, so it will be updated, and most carriers have signed on to enable it, so that's not really a feature that you will lose indefinitely. Next, I just want to talk about the overall enjoyment of using this phone. This phone has been super enjoyable to use. You have these dual stereo speakers here, and they're not front firing, but they do get really loud, and it is enough to make it enjoyable when you're watching YouTube or when you're watching Netflix or anything like that. And not to mention, when you are on speaker call, it does activate this top one if you do need an extra boost in volume. Samsung really gives you the most bang for your buck. Now, some people call them gimmicks. You have this always on display here, which shows you most of your information so you don't have to turn on that screen. I call these little pleasures in life because it just makes using this phone a lot more enjoyable. You can just put whatever video you take on your phone and make it your lock screen, and this is just something that makes me smile when I have my phone. All of us like to customize our phones. That's why we buy Android phones and not iPhones, guys. You get these little enjoyments here that kind of make your phone your own, and you can customize them. And then of course you can customize them with themes and whatnot. You can put icon packs and you can do whatever you want and sort of make it your own. Another thing I want to mention is how does Face Unlock work? So you get the iris scanning, you also get the facial recognition, and then you get intelligent scan, which combines both of those. And really, I can say it works quite well. About 90% of the time it works great. Even in dark situations, it's still able to unlock your phone. So I'm happy to report that the intelligent scan works very well, and most of the times I don't even use the fingerprint scanner on the back. Although I'm super happy that they included a fingerprint scanner still, because when you do pull this out of your pocket, your finger kind of just places right there, and by the time you reach it to your face, it's unlocked. So it saves you another second or two, but either way, you can use the front facial recognition, or you can use the fingerprint scanner. So that's really an option too. So Samsung pretty much threw everything in that they could, and that's what they're known for. One thing I want to mention is the lag factor. Now, there's no lag on this phone at all. I do not suffer from any stutters here or there, and I do treat this phone and use it a lot. The only thing I have had recently happen to me is that the camera will force close or it'll stutter, but that's just the camera application, and that only happened since my last update that I just got at the end of November, so I'm pretty sure Samsung will fix it because it wasn't there before. But other than that, opening and closing applications has been great. Multitasking has been awesome on this phone as well. So the lag factor, I would say, is a 2 out of 10 because sometimes the camera will lag or stutter, and sometimes you just get lag because the phone doesn't know what to do. But 2 out of 10 is really nothing to talk about, guys. It's been an awesome experience. Another downfall to buying a Samsung device, as we all know, is the lack of updates, or the length of updates, I should say. So this will get 2 years worth of updates, but Samsung has been known to kind of drag their feet when it comes to releasing updates for their phones. Android Pie has already been released, and by the time we get it, there'll probably be the next version of Android out. So if you are wanting speedy updates, definitely go for Pixel phones, or maybe even Motorola. They kind of offer some fast turnaround times in terms of update. I have been receiving regular security updates on this, so maybe Samsung has changed their way with this Project Treble. Maybe it'll make it easier, only time will tell. But as of right now, guys, as of this video, Pixel phones still are the fastest ones to get the updates, obviously. So that's a downfall to buying a Samsung product, is the update schedule. But again, time might tell, different story, we'll have to see. And then other than that, I mean, there's really no downfalls that I've experienced on this phone that I can report about. This phone has just been really enjoyable, and that's been the case of Samsung phones as of late. The Note 8 was a great experience, the S9 Plus was a great experience, and now the Note 9 is also giving me a great experience. So no complaints with this phone. I do not regret my purchase one bit, and I can highly recommend this phone as well. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you think about the Note 9? Is this something that you're interested in? Is this something that you have? Share your experiences on battery life and etc. Let me know down in the comments, as I always like talking to you guys about our experiences. That's what community YouTube is all about. Thumbs up and subscribe, guys, as that helps me out the most, and I'll catch you guys in another video.